Welcome to twoquestions.tv. Today we're celebrating 50 episodes. Yay! Welcome to twoquestions.tv. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe, and with me today is Gus. Gus is taking a little nap on my lap. We were not planning on shooting today, and so Gus is not at daycare. He's just enjoying a happy day at home with me. In fact, I was not going to shoot an episode today. It was going to be an episode with an interview that I've recorded. But even though this morning when I woke up, I was feeling pretty under the weather, when I was going through my spreadsheet to upload today's show, I realized today is the 50th episode. Oh my gosh, 50 episodes. And so I thought, well, I could do an interview, but I'd rather just celebrate with you. I'd rather it just be you and me, and we celebrate, and I say, thank you for watching the show, and I'm super excited that I made it to 50. It's really, when you look at the grand scheme of things, not that long. I mean, it's been 10 weeks of 5 episodes every week, and so I guess I've already done a state of the show recently, so I'm not going to do that other than to say thank you for watching, and I'm really happy with how things are going. But I thought instead I would talk about what I've learned since starting the show and what 50 episodes have taught me. And maybe I'll do this again at 100, and then I'll go to 200 and 300, because that's how it's going to happen. And that's how many shows we're going to have. We're just going to keep going and going. So what have I learned? Well, I studied video and YouTube a little bit before I started the show. And the one thing that was the most difficult for me from the very beginning was to not look at the camera, or to look at the camera and not look at myself. So you don't want to see a show where I'm doing this. You want to see a show where I look at you. And hello, hi Gus. So you want to see a show where I'm looking at you and where I'm communicating and connecting with you, and that's difficult, especially when I'm recording on my phone. It's super hard. But when I'm here and I'm talking to you like this, it's really not that hard. It's a habit that I've gotten into, one that I've developed over 50 episodes and I've gotten better at. Now, when I do an interview, I usually have my notes for the interview covering, like in a like a notepad, but on the Mac. So text edit, I think it is. I have that window over my window that shows me and that shows the guest, and so that I don't get distracted by that. But it's hard to do that because then I can't see any nonverbal language of the guest, which is tricky for me. But since I've been a coach for 17 years and all of my work has been on the phone, I'm pretty good at hearing nonverbals and paralanguage, so I don't worry too much about it. But it's been an interesting exercise, to say the least. So if you're a new YouTuber, that's one thing that's really challenging and that I highly recommend you practice with. Practice on different cameras, practice on your laptop camera, your camera, and practice also on your phone, because they're different and they're different. I don't know, it's going back and forth. It's a little difficult to get used to it. I see my friend here has woken up a little bit. Another thing I've learned is consistency is really important. Even when I don't feel well, like I had the flu not that long ago. You guys probably saw me coughing in interviews, and you heard me sounding pretty hoarse and sinusy, and the show has to go on. Granted, I canceled a bunch of episodes when I was really sick. Not the episodes themselves. We pre-record all the shows, and so I had enough recorded that I could move everybody to another week, and that was a little bit grueling, but well worth it because I was able to get well for the most part. So anyway, consistency is really important, and quality is really important, because you don't want to watch a crummy show, and you won't watch a crummy show. So in order to keep you coming back, I got to do good stuff, and I got to have great guests, right? So I've been working really hard on getting exceptional people and great guests and people who make sense and shows that will be useful and interesting to you. And so, like I said on, I think, last Friday's show, this show is really focused around helping the executive, the entrepreneur, the business owner with issues around leadership and being the boss and helping you to see other entrepreneurs and see what they're doing and how they do things differently and what they're learning. And that's really my goal. It's kind of always been my goal, but it's especially my goal with this show. And I've also learned that it's important for me, even though I'm an expert in a lot of things, it's important for me to know when to step back. And that was part of the challenge in doing a show like twoquestions.tv, in only allowing myself to ask two questions. In the early episodes, you can tell that I asked a lot of compound questions, and I'm working really hard to simplify my questions and make them a lot more straightforward, because I think it makes it easier for both you and for my guests. And I think it also lends itself nicely to a more interesting conversation. Now, having said that, sometimes I go rogue. You've seen it happen, and I ask more than two. I ask bonus questions, or I make a statement that hopefully will lead the guest to say something important and useful. But in general, asking two questions has been a challenge, but I'm getting better at it. There are many, many wonderful people, authors, experts, business owners who want to be on the show, and I'm grateful for that. I have to get really good at choosing guests. We've got a system down now, and that is something that I have really gotten better at. One thing I know is systems are paramount to being successful. Systems are absolutely necessary when you want something to continue. In fact, today is a really nice day, because today, an interview that I did with Kevin Cruz on his show LeadX, it went live, and it's actually syndicated out to Forbes. So that show is now on Forbes. So I'm going to link to that in the show notes. If I can find it on YouTube, I'll put it in the cards up here. But if you don't see it up here, look in the show notes for that interview, because I tell a story I've never actually told, at least not in that way, before. And it's a story about the thing that taught me, the experience that taught me the importance and the value of having systems. So after a few episodes of this show, I learned that I really needed to have some systems in place to easily schedule and easily get the information I needed to do a good job in the show, and to do it in a streamlined and efficient way. And so my assistant and I have been implementing the systems now for 3 or 4 weeks, and it's been working really, really well. Very helpful, really helps to streamline the process and avoid anybody getting a little too busy. So that's another thing I've learned, is that if you're going to do a show like this, where you're going to have episodes coming up that you're planning for, like I think I mentioned on Friday in November, we're doing a gift guide for the holidays for executives and entrepreneurs. And in order to plan that, we had to have a system in place. And we have a few other shows that we're planning that we needed systems for. To have guests come on the show, and to make sure that you have enough guests and that you have planned ahead and all of that, you need systems for that as well. And so we've designed system after system to make sure this ship stays afloat, because this is a lot of fun. I've also learned to be patient. I think in the grand scheme of things, when it comes to YouTube, I am very fortunate that I've spent the last 17 years building an audience, and an audience that seems to be interested in what I'm doing and what I have to say. So thank you, audience. Thank you for being interested in what I have to say and for listening to me. And so in that sense, I think I'm luckier than most YouTubers, because I brought my audience with me to this show, and I didn't necessarily have to start from scratch the way most people do. And in that, I'm lucky in that a lot of people came with me, but at the same time, patience is required when you're building a YouTube channel, because it does take time to build that audience, to show that you're going to stay around, that they're not going to, wake up one Monday morning and you're just not going to do a show. Granted, some of my shows go up later in the evenings or in the afternoons. There's not a set time when my shows go live. That's okay. That'll be something we'll work on. And in terms of this effort, patience is absolutely key. And waiting patiently, doing the consistent things that we need to do to film episodes, to edit episodes, to produce them, and to put them on YouTube. All of those things take a lot of time. And that's one of the reasons I only do weekdays, because I need some time off to read the books of the people that I interview. But also it is very time intense. So it takes a lot to do this, but I think it's well worth it. I have been trying to be patient with the numbers, and I've been also trying to be patient with the technology and the quality, and take my time. So you notice there were a lot of episodes that I filmed early on in front of the very beginning I filmed outside. The reason I filmed outside early on was because I wasn't sure yet where I was going to film in my office. Then I filmed sitting at my desk, which used to be over by the window, and the lighting was all wrong. And now, then I was filming on my treadmill desk, and everything was standing up, which is also fine. But now I film here at where my desk is now. I have a light kit, and every week I try to make an improvement of some sort. We're going to be upgrading the microphone, the camera. I think those are the two big things that I'd like to upgrade, but I'm really happy with how the show is, and how it's improved, and the progress. And so I guess that's the name of the game, is patience, and know that it won't all be what you want it to be right away. Now, I've also learned to let go of perfection, and that it's okay to be a little vulnerable. And that was a part of that interview that I did with Kevin for the show that is now on Forbes. And that story is a story I'll tell you another day, when I am not talking about celebrating 50 episodes. So I'll tell you that story. You can go to the interview to hear that story, or you can just wait and I'll tell you that story. But go listen to the interview. It's a good interview, and I give very sage advice. So listen to that interview. But yeah, so I've learned a lot of things. I've learned that I have a lot more to learn, and I hope that you continue to watch the show for another 50 and another 150. I love doing this. I love the show. I love the guests. I love the interviews. I love that I get to sometimes just sit and talk to you, even on days like this when I'm not feeling my best. But I just love it, and I'm really happy that my ADD didn't kick in, and I have not sought some other shiny object, that I'm just still here, and I plan on being here for the long haul. And so I hope you'll continue to join me and celebrate when we hit 100. So guys, you have to wake up a little so you can say goodbye to the people. All right. So thank you so much for watching these 50 episodes, and thanks for watching 50 more. Gus and I say thank you. We'll see you next time.